Welcome to the Practice X Factor, the place to be for mastering membership plans for your business. Here, you'll learn exactly how to grow your patient relationships and accelerate your profits without getting stuck on the dental insurance bandwagon.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Practice X Factor. Excited to have you back today to talk about probably one of the biggest pain points that any practice or any small business for that matter has to deal with, and that is your people. But first, I want to share a story. A couple years ago, we were down at Lake Las Vegas in the early part of the summer, and it was scorching hot, but we had a great time. I was down for a course, and I took my family with me, and we stayed at a resort there, and it was probably 110 to 118 degrees during the day, but because we're at the lake, it was nice because the water was cool, but you never felt cold getting out. And one day when we were out after dinner, I think getting some ice cream or something, we were going through an underground parking lot. I took a picture with my son, and there was this really nice Lamborghini parked in there, and his license plate said 2.4 GPA, which we thought was pretty funny. But the reason I wanted to share that is a lead-in in today's episode, which is talking about hiring and acquiring talent and finding good people to be part of your team. Because let's face it, that's the biggest make it or break it factor to the growth of your practice and the growth of spreading your memberships is the leverage provided by your team. And, there's a certain level of independence that most of us have as practice owners, as small business owners, where we can kind of pursue rugged individualism to a point, and you might feel like sometimes you can go it alone, or maybe you should scale back your staff or scale back your patients, cut back, but that's really not great for a longevity game. If you're getting near retirement, it might be okay, but it will clearly diminish the value of your practice when you sell it, because the value of a business is based heavily upon the total revenue or the total collections in healthcare. So when I thought about this 2.4 GPA, this was probably this successful, or at least would be successful, business person or entrepreneur. But truthfully, he probably has, or she probably has, some really great people around them supporting them so that they're all working in their areas of expertise. And when you think about the Pareto principle or the 80-20 principle, this is where it really applies to bringing and attracting people on your team that are different than you, that think differently, and that enjoy doing the things that you don't enjoy doing. So I learned years ago that if someone's very different than me and thinks very different, it might be a good person I should consider moving through my hiring process, because it could be a great asset to my practice. And recently I was reading an article in Fortune, and they were talking about how the Great Resignation was over. The Great Resignation, if you're not familiar with it, is a term used during the pandemic when so many people resigned or left their jobs or their careers to kind of reset and pursue something else. And we've seen that impact us greatly, especially in the area of some of the clinical positions, including dental hygienists. Is in our area, we had quite a few hygienists that retired or did something different or cut back dramatically. And I think in the long run, it's a good thing, because it's going to make us all better at what we do. And the ones who didn't really have their heart in it are now out of the profession, which makes the quality of care overall better. But it obviously stings really bad for a few years. And in this article, talked about how now we're moving into the great talent stagnation, and how a lot of employers are concerned about the lack of qualified applicants. The advantage we have in small business, and unless you have a few hundred employees, you're considered small, which most practices don't, even the multi-location practices are still considered a small business. So the advantage that you have is you don't have to be constantly acquiring dozens and dozens of people to replenish that revolving door of people who leave. And generally speaking, the larger a business gets, the more it loses its culture. And culture is really what people care more and more about these days, even more than money. If you look at studies, a great work environment will beat out compensation or pay almost every time in any study you can find. I haven't found one yet where it said pay would beat out a good work environment. And if you think about it, if you're in a good environment, you're going to make more money anyway, because your longevity and consistency is going to be so much better. So as I thought about this and how this could apply to this episode, it made me think about what I could share for our listeners and our clients and those who are interested in having more members in their practice. And if that's you, then you're definitely in the right place. And if you haven't already, go back and listen to some of our previous episodes where we talk about the core foundation of a membership practice and the 9 deadly sins that most practices do wrong when they try to implement a membership program, because you want it to work for you and you want it to be really a way to lead your patients and help them, not simply as a backup alternative for insurance. And that's one of the 9 deadly sins of a membership practice. But what you can implement right now is there's a couple things that have really helped us. And the first one is promoting, or what some call quiet hiring. And that's where you're basically looking within your practice to hire people up to positions, or sometimes it could be a lateral move, but essentially when you're looking for position to have filled, you might hire someone within and promote them up to that position. More and more companies are doing that successfully. The second one that's helped us is outsourcing. So we use independent contractors, mostly virtual talent, that a lot of them stick around for years and become part of the team, but a lot of them, we use for temporary jobs, or we can try them out first. And there's not quite the same level of attachment that you have when someone's physically working in your office and you're seeing them from day to day. That being said, the nice thing about outsourcing is it opens your pool up to the entire world instead of just your local community. So obviously you can't have a dental assistant who's running your scanner or taking x-rays virtually, but you can have someone virtually placing your supply orders or doing your personal calendar or scheduling patients. They don't have to be in your office, and that can take a lot of the burden off of your team. So some other points on this that I wanted to make about this Great Resignation is, one, we call it our Hire and Hire recruiting guide. And if you'd like a copy of that, you can reach out to me by email or visiting our website. Be happy to send that to you. But it's Hire, like H-I-R-E, and Hire, H-I-G-H-E-R. So we're elevating the practice by hiring, which really is just 20% of the equation. And then 80% of it is building up your team, role playing, working on the backstage. We call that conditioning and drills. So drills would be repetition and role play and learning phrases and scripting. And then conditioning would be doing exercises and running through scenarios when something goes wrong, or when operatory is set up incorrectly, or when an implant order is misplaced, what you would do next. And goes with the saying that when something goes wrong, we don't rise to the occasion, we actually drop to our lowest level of preparation. I can't remember who said that, to give credit where credit's due, but I found it to be so true, is that when something doesn't go right in our office, we often fall to the lowest level of preparation. And sometimes that can make us feel, as practice owners, discouraged, or like we don't have the right people because we're missing a couple key roles. And let's face it, if you have 10 team members and you're short 2, you're really down 20%. Whereas if you have 50 team members and you're down 2, you're only down a couple percentage points. It's very different. So what I invite for you to do this week in your challenge is, if you have people in your practice who work really hard for you and they want to grow, look for ways to promote them within. And that doesn't have to be financially, but to provide them new opportunities to grow. It could be moving someone part-time to full-time. It could be someone who's looking for a different type of position. We recently hired a hygienist as our operations manager a few months ago, and she really has great energy and excitement and enthusiasm because she did clinical hygiene for a while, and she found that she actually enjoyed the backstage part of that more than the front stage, meaning she enjoyed the preparation and the planning and training other people more than she did the actual clinical part of hygiene. So the great part is she understands the clinical aspects, but now she's looking to take her skills to the next level. And that's been a great opportunity for us, both for her and us, to learn and grow. And so look for those opportunities, and then look for ways to hire people virtually. There's lots of good sites. We have a list of those. If you'd like to reach out to my office, we can send those to you as well. But, sites like Upwork and even just your local, classifieds or Craigslist or whatever, you can find people who want to work from home that might have a lot of experience with insurance billing, or with being on the phone, or with scheduling, or with being your personal assistant that could really help grow your practice. So thanks for taking a minute to listen to this month's episode, and we look forward to your feedback, and we will see you on the next one. So have a great day. Thanks for listening.
For more tools and tips on how to create an X Factor membership practice, visit yourpracticegrowth.com and subscribe to our free weekly email today.